Welcome
Welcome.
to the Journey of Desire book club. Woohoo!
I have this is the old school one. And then Eldredge just released an update, which is pretty awesome.
This one.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
There you go.
this is the update.
The new and improved. Um, yeah, it's really, kind of the cool thing about it is when you follow his podcast, you really stay abreast of, not just topics that he's going deeper into, but also just kind of what he's got going on. And the podcast last week, he was actually reading a chapter out of it, and it was so good. And I didn't want to reread the chapter, but I did think it would be kind of cool to just take some time to set up what this is really about. This is not school, so we're not interested in making sure everybody's done their reading. We're not going to do tests. There's no pop quizzes. There's no essays. This is really just a time to kind of read something. And I think the cool thing about reading it in a group with other people is you then have other people's perspective. And so many times, I'm doing a book club with Landry and we're going through Screwtape Letters and we'll read it and Landry will have like these things that just like either a question or just an observation she made. And so many times it's like, oh my gosh, I never thought of that. It just, so just having other brains, working on this and meditating on this, I think is just really powerful, that alone. But the other reason why I think this book is really kind of cool is that its focus is to deliberately slow down and try to take in as much of God as possible and then build life around that. One of the things that Eldredge said not that long ago that really kind of was one of those things was he said the biggest mistake that Christians make is trying to fit more of God into their lives. And what he meant by that is if you're doing that, you've already missed it. Because what we really need to be doing is centering our lives in God and then building outward from there, where God is the epicenter, God is the heart of it all. And when God is the heart of all, then we go out and it isn't like we just sit in a hole and sing hymns all day. It's that, you give God all of your heart, you build your life around him, you set the rhythms and patterns of your life around him, and then everything that comes into your life comes through him. That's the idea. That's how life works best. Do I do that every day? No, I don't. Uh, I want to though. I want to more and more and more just filter everything going on in my life. Every relationship, every hope, every dream, every ambition, every desire, everything I want to filter through him. That's the goal, honestly, of getting there because I've had just enough of a taste of it where I want more of it. And I'm not satisfied with just, kind of grinding it out. And then someday we'll just fall into the arms of Jesus, and like, that's just not something that I want. And I think if you guys are on this, you don't want that either. And so that's why I really appreciate this book because that's what the focus is. It's about the heart. And it's interesting how many times the Bible talks about the importance of the heart. Um, Proverbs, in fact, 18 even goes so far as to say, guard your heart, for it is the wellspring of life. Just think about that. I mean, the wellspring is meaning like all of the water flows from that, all of life flows from our heart. So the more that we are giving our hearts over to God, the more we are living in alignment with God, and the more that we are experiencing everything that God intends for us. And so part of this is just thinking about how central the heart is. Um, for example, if we have suffered a great tragedy, we're heartbroken. If we love somebody intensely, we give them all of our heart. If, we are, uh, you know, angry or resentful towards someone, we're hard-hearted towards them. I mean, it's just, I mean, I could go on and on and on, but the point is that there's so many things around us that build around the heart. And so that's one of the things I really appreciate about this book, because I think that, there's one camp in Christianity that is kind of like almost new age. Like they just sort of go, well, you're a child of God, so you can just like manifest your reality and manifest the goodness in your life. And it's like, no, we're not little gods, running around with ultimate power over the universe where we can just manifest something out of nothingness. I mean, we can see things that God is doing. I think it was Einstein that said there's two ways to live life. One is if everything is a miracle, and the other is if nothing is. So if you look, it isn't that you're manifesting something, but if you look, you can see God showing up all over the place. And if we don't look, then it won't seem like God's anywhere. And there's something in our brain. It's kind of an interesting um, feature called reticular activation, and it's kind of like our brain has so much information to process, so much, that the only way it can function without exploding, out of our necks is if it has some type of filtering system. So when it sees a pattern, then it starts to take notice of that pattern and orient around it. So, for example, let's say, tonight after we get out this call, you run out and you buy a brand new red Honda Accord. All of a sudden on the road, you're like, oh my gosh, everybody's got one of these. I can't believe, like, everywhere we turn, all of a sudden we start seeing red Honda Accords all over the place. Well, it wasn't a weird run on red Honda Accords. It's just that our brain is now processing it so that we take more notice of it. So if you think about it, what if we were intentional about taking notice of what God is up to? It's not like God is all of a sudden going to do more than he already does or show up more than he already does, but we might notice it more than we previously did. And
Yeah.
that's the difference. And so this is where we're really trying to use this time with this book to really orient our hearts around God and to really take stock of, what is it that we really want? I wouldn't mind if everybody wouldn't mind like chiming in, like when somebody says, like, if I say, actually, I'm gonna say it right now. So what do you want? And you don't have to, because we're just sort of getting to know each other, so you don't have to like share, but I want you to think about what it is that you want. So nobody has to respond, but I just want you to just take a minute and think about, what do I want? And just,
What do I want, like in a general sense,
yeah,
or
just what do I want? Just think about, what do I want? And just, again, not, you don't have to respond, you don't have to but just think about that for a second. Now think about this. Did it make anybody uncomfortable to have to think about that? Was it hard to think about that?
it is hard?
Because most of the time, what I find is I start automatically, well, I'll tell you what I don't want. And then all of a sudden, I got lots to say. I got lots to say about all the things I don't want. But it's really hard to let my heart orient and name what I do want. What I do want. And so I think that part of that is because there is this desire that we have in us, that we're, and again, everybody has different stories that we're bringing into this. But whatever your story is, if it makes it hard for us to name what it is we want, then we should take a look at that. I'll just give you another example. Like with my students, I teach class twice a week, senior thesis, and in class, I have to, I'm getting them used to speaking in front of the class. So I just do like a bunch of fun little, it's just goofy things. Just all it is I'm trying to get them comfortable talking. They're not having to do some formal speech or anything. But one of the exercises that I gave them was I said, "What do you like best about yourself?" I can't even tell you, literally minutes went by and nobody could even think of a thing. It was like I thought, oh, okay, people maybe have a little bit of a hard time, but at first, but then it it was like, wow. And then we had to actually kind of a cool discussion about why it was so hard for us to even name that. So if we can't even name, if it's hard for us to just name something we like about ourselves, how much more difficult it is to start naming like what we want?
Yeah,
Because then we go in, well, do I deserve that? Have I done enough for that? Have I earned that? Have I, that's where our stories start to go in. And I don't know what everybody's story is. All I do know is nobody tells any story but their own. So everybody's got this that they're bringing in. And what I like about this book and what we'll be delving into in the weeks that follow is this journey of desire, what it is that we want. And the cool thing is if we have this with our hands open, where we're honest about what it is that we want, and at the same time, we're willing to let God give us his best. That's a risky place. Because what if we don't get what we want? Well, I mean, I can tell you in my own life, I had two relationships that were so bad and so horrible. And yet, despite all that, I thought, this is the one. If I had gone in either of those directions, I wouldn't have my wife, who's amazing. I mean, I can't, I mean, I literally shudder to think what my life would be like if I had gone down one of those other two paths. But I also know that I mean, that is exactly what I wanted. I wanted that wholeheartedly, and thank God I didn't get it. And that's the hard part is that over time, part of this journey of desire is building our trust with God. And the real test of that trust is, what do we do when we don't get what we want? Because some of us, we get resigned, like, oh, well, great. How about this? How about I just not want anything? I no longer give a crap. So I'm out. Or, maybe we're like, wow, maybe I need to become a better person, or we start to go into like the guilt or the shame track, or we have a lot of different avenues that we take. But God is calling us into this journey of desire where we're like, if you stay with me long enough, God is saying, then I am going to show you what you really want. You may not realize it right now, but this is what you really want. And if you trust me long enough, I will show you that and I will give you that. And that's, boy, that's a hard thing, right?
that's
Because
awesome.
that's where the rubber meets the road. And that's what I love about this book. It's like it's really talking about this. It's like this is not about killing your desire. We've been doing that long enough, and how's that working out? But this is also not about, oh, just sort of name it and claim it, and I can become my own, junior god in the universe, just manifesting my own reality that I want. It's not that either. So what does it look like? And that's really what this book explores, and that's what we're kind of excited to be getting into, like I said, in the weeks that follow. But I just wanted to give like a little bit of a preview to kind of just like this is what we hope that everybody gets from the book. This is, kind of the tone of it. This is, like I said, this is not a class. This is really just like, hey, we want to know God, I believe God is going to show up and speak to everyone in this group. And I'm really interested and excited to hear what he's going to say to each person as you're reading this book, as you're going through this. And I think it's going to be a great opportunity to get to the heart of the matter, as it were. So I'm excited.
Yeah, that's really awesome. And I think one of the things that I love about this also, and this is a conversation that comes up, it's come up twice in the last week for me in different groups of the idea that the heart is deceitful above all things. And that's something that church tends to focus on. That church
A
tends
lot.
to focus on that. And so welcome, welcome. I know that there's a few people that have jumped on since when Dan was talking, so I wanted to welcome Deetria specifically, welcome, and Miriam. Miriam is all the way from
Ecuador.
where?
That is correct. Está cierto.
Hello, Miriam. Good to see you. Good to have you.
Hello.
And Pat just jumped in, so that's awesome. Yes, so we are excited, and I'm very excited to even explore that because it can be very confusing about. I love this Proverbs 4:23 that Dan talked about. Above all else, guard your heart, for it is the wellspring of life. And I love how what John Eldredge adds to this is that to lose heart is to lose everything because someone else hopping on because everything flows from the heart. Everything worth living for flows from the heart. Intimacy, romance, love, adventure, meaning, and purpose, courage, sacrifice, joy. It goes on, right? And so we don't want to live just to get by. We want to live. Hi, Pat.
Hi.
Good to see you.
Sorry to be late. I forgot.
Oh, that's okay.
Suddenly I remembered.
That's awesome. All the way from Colorado. We're all over tonight. This is awesome. Yeah, so this is exactly what we wanted to just set up. This is about really understanding how does God view our heart and how does God view our desires. And I think it's so amazing to know that God gave us our desires, the things that he put on our hearts um, to be passionate about, to love, to enjoy. God put that on our hearts. That's what he did. So this book is very powerful. I wanted to go a little bit over kind of a bit of a schedule so that you guys would have an idea. We have 12 chapters. So we were kind of figuring 2 chapters a week. We're not able to meet next Sunday because there's this event going on for Landry at school. So we are going to meet, so we're going to meet the following Sunday. So what we thought is that we could do the first 4 chapters. This week, read 2, next week, read 2. And then when we meet again on the 8th, we'll talk about those 4, what you gleaned from it. I'm a big writer in my books. I like to underline and highlight, write notes so if you want to do that or take some notes, but like Dan said, it's so awesome to come together and hear what other people got from the different things as well. So we really want this time to be a time to just share. That's what the idea of a mastermind is when you have all the people together, it all kind of makes one big brain that brings us more insight than we would have gotten just by reading it by ourselves. So that is really the power of meeting together in a book club. It's been a long time since I've been in a book club, so I am very excited to do that. And it's also just fun reading with other people, reading something with other people. And our desire was to have something where we could stay connected and really dig in a little bit over this holiday season where things are busy, but it's also kind of a slower, you're like work seems to not be as busy for most people, or school is shutting down, those kinds of things. So sometimes it's good to just kind of make an intentional effort to do something for yourself and your relationship with God and really think about leaning into that. So that is what we wanted to do tonight, is just kind of set it up. I also thought it would be kind of cool to just go around and introduce yourselves. We'll have, if you don't want to, like if you don't have your camera on or you're not in a place to do that, that's okay. But if you want to just kind of introduce yourself, tell us where you are, tell us where you're calling in from, and anything you would like us to know. What is your desire while you're in this, reading this
Yeah, like
book?
what do you want to get from
Yes.
this as well? Like what are you hoping to get from it?
Perfect. Perfect. Yes. So why don't we start? How about if we start with Jana? Jana Booker. I'm gonna put Jana on the spot because she's a good sport, and I know she has a lot to share.
All righty. What's going on here? Okay. I am Jana Booker, and I'm in Tucson, Arizona. And I'm in grief recovery right now. If anybody else knows about that, Dan and Vicky facilitate that. And so I feel like I'm in a chapter of really reconnecting to my heart in a way that I haven't in a long time, maybe in a way that I never have. So I'm very hopeful. I'm an artist, and I really look forward to really having that connection back with my heart and my creativity. And, sky's the limit. I just think for myself, I've been in a very protected place, more than guarding my heart, but just kind of shut down and super protected, kind of scared, and dealing with anxiety and depression as an older person, and just and looking and looking and looking and searching, but I just feel like this is going to be a really good season of life, and so we'll see how it all unfolds.
Awesome. I love that. I always take notes, so I'm jotting things down. I agree. We're in a really good season. We're so happy that you're here. So, so happy.
Thank you.
Awesome. Anybody else? Would anybody else like to share?
I'll jump in since I've got my microphone on.
Awesome.
Go,
I'm
Mandy.
Mandy.
My name is Mandy Murphy, and I'm in Georgetown, Texas. And I have never known my heart's desire. I've just been living life. That's all I know how to do, is just live life. I live in depression, and I just keep trucking along and stuff. And I'm excited to read this, and I've actually already read the first 2 chapters. Um,
Wow.
I have I'm getting closer to God, and I'm finding this new passion in my life. And so I've started real estate school, and then I put it off, and then I called them and they said I had 3 months to finish it. So I've been buckling down, and then I was like, instead was like really impressed with myself. And so it's I've been already, like, for a while. I know what my desires are, is to have a home, to feel at home somewhere, to be safe and secure. And I know that I'll get that through God. I know that that's the only place I'll get it. I won't get it through anybody else. I won't get it anywhere. It's only through God and stuff like that. And so that's kind of what I've been searching for. And I realized that I need to get closer to God more and more, and hopefully I'll heal with everything. And so I'm excited to read this. And I don't know, that's all I can say.
Oh,
That is perfect, Mandy.
thank you for
Well,
sharing
you
that.
are so welcome here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Awesome. Anybody else?
I guess I'll go, Vicky.
Go, Tria.
Deidre.
Hey, Hey everyone, I'm Deetria Taylor. I am in Salt Lake City, Utah, and you know, when I got the email about this book club, I was inspired because I feel like, well, for one thing, I've always known what my desire is, and I feel like my desire has always been critiqued and judged,
Mm,
put down. You know, there's a radio personality, Steve Harvey, and I still listen to his radio show out of LA every morning. And
mm,
something that he does these inspirational talks before the show actually comes on. And one of the things I hear him say a lot is like the dream you have is your dream. Don't like check in with other people about your dream.
mm,
But that's kind of like what it is. It's almost like other people think my dream or my desire is inappropriate or
mm,
um for example, when I was in college, I was doing my undergrad, and my professors were really big about me going to graduate school and getting a PhD. You got to go to grad school. You got to go to grad school. And, I was in my early 30s and I had already been dreaming about, like, okay, I really want to be married. And this is something I really want. When I graduate, I'm really going to focus on that area of my life. But my professors are pushing, they're
mhm,
pushing. And I went to a Christian university. And one day I went to this female professor, older lady who I respected a lot. And I sat down and was super vulnerable. And I said, Dr. Leonard, I appreciate that you guys believe in me and you really see me as capable and you think I should go to graduate school and get this PhD. But I'd rather be Mrs. Deetria than Dr. Deetria. And
mm,
that professor proceeded to lay into me.
Oh,
Like I had said the most obnoxious
oh,
wow.
thing on the planet. And, she was like, well, it's God's will for you to go to grad school. And she's saying all this stuff. Luckily for me, I had the wherewithal to say, oh, I thought grad school and marriage were options. I didn't know that was like a God's will thing. I thought those were just life options. And she stepped back, but the damage was done. Like I still internalized what she said. Like it
Mm,
doesn't matter that I came back at her. She was just one more person in a string line of people who had criticized and put down my desire to be married. Like whether
mm,
it was my mom, friend, like it just seems like my whole life people have critiqued that like I'm doing something wrong or inappropriate.
mm,
Like what's so wrong with Deetria Taylor wanting to be married? Like, why is it
yeah.
so bad? But for whatever reason, that's what I've gotten. People have
mm,
just come at me. And so when I saw this book title, I was like, you know what? I do need to focus on what God says about desire because people have just come at me. Just,
yeah.
I don't even know why. Like, I don't, it's bizarre, but I knew things were crazy when that professor was coming after me. I was like, you too?
Right.
Like, good Lord. Like,
Yeah.
it's just been an endless string of that's a dumb desire. Like, people
Wow.
support my desire to help animals because I foster kittens and been doing it for 10 years. And everybody admires that about me and really support my heart for animals. But nobody supports my heart to want to connect and have a companion. I don't
Uh,
know why. It's just been bizarre and that's just the way it's been. And so um, it shut me down, but the desire always stayed there. And I
yeah.
started reading the book this morning and it reminded me of that proverb that says what a longing unfulfilled hurts the
Yes.
heart or something, makes the heart sick. That's what it made me think of. I was like, yeah, that's me. That's the scripture that represents me
Mhm.
because like I have friends who young adult children are getting married and having babies, and I'm still looking for the first husband. It makes me feel crazy. Like, what
Mm,
Mm.
happened? I don't know what happened. So anyway, I'm encouraged and excited to get into that and just see what God says because I'm really over what people got to say. So I'll
amen.
leave it there.
Amen. That's awesome.
Oh, Deetria, thank you for sharing. That's
Yeah.
fantastic. Yeah. Really great. Mm. Very cool. Anybody else want to share a little bit?
Yeah, I'll just say hello. Okay.
Oh, you know what, Miriam, we'll have you go, Kenny. You'll go after Miriam, okay? I see your
Okay,
hand over there.
that's okay.
Miriam, yes. How are
I-
you?
Yes, good, good. Thank you. It's good to see different people. Deetria, oh my goodness, I can't believe this. And hear familiar voices. But I love John Eldredge, and I love you guys. So I said, you know what? It just I knew that I was in the right place. I've been in survival mode for a little while now, and but at the same time, I'm seeing God's blessings starting to pour. Like, I mean, he probably was pouring before, but now I'm starting to I don't know. But the thing is, I mean, just barely starting, but I don't know what the desires of my heart are. And I want to, and I know that I want to be aligned with God, because that's when you have the true joy, true peace, true joy. And, so I just saw the book. I said, John Eldredge, I love him. And with you guys conducting the book club, I just didn't think it twice, and I just signed up. So thank you very much. I haven't started the book yet, but I will. And that's it. Just wanted to connect. So thank you so much. Love you guys.
Love
Oh,
you,
me
Miriam.
too.
Yeah, that's awesome. We're so happy you're here. That's awesome. Okay, Kenny.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kenny. Yeah, I'm here because I too like the author. I read a book by the author years ago called Wild at Heart, and I remember just really loving that. I still remember that book, and kind of made me I'm longing for sort of like past glories a little bit. I feel like I used to be a better person in some ways. I felt like I had less fear, and I felt like I chased that spirit of being wild at heart, and I want to get that back. I want to someone referenced the proverb, the hope deferred makes the heart sick, and I feel like I've been in that place for a while, and someone else mentioned as well being in survival mode, and I resonate with all of those things. I think Dan mentioned what it is for me. What I think I want is to be God centered. Because I feel like I've gotten away from that. And it's funny, I think the more you move away from the center of anything, the more apparent what the center is when you move away from it. So I want to move back toward this being God centered, and just really having my heart strengthened. I feel like I've just I've had a sort of a crushed heart or a numb heart for a lot of years. I'm been in recovery for many years. I'm dealing with addiction, and a lot of heartache, a lot of grief, and that spans really a majority of my life. Like I said, there were brief times where I felt like being at Wild at Heart really called to me, and I know what that is. So I'd like to get back to that, and also just nurture relationships. Instead of trying to go it alone, I want to become more relational. I want my heart to open up. I want to practice vulnerability. I want to practice all of these things that are really, really, really hard for me naturally. And so I ordered the book. I just got it. I'm sorry, I'm on the road, so I'm not with the book right now, and I haven't started it yet. But I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing God work in ways that I haven't been able to recognize before. And I'm starting to see that already starting. So I'm really excited for that. And I'll pass with that.
Awesome.
That is so awesome, Kenny. This is great to have you. So great. And I think Pat, would you like to share a little bit?
Okay. I'm Patricia. I'm in Woodland Park, Colorado, and I just ordered the book. It hasn't come yet, but I love the title. I feel like I was in survival mode most of my life, but the past couple years, God's really been healing my heart. And lately I've really been thinking about like I feel like it's coming alive. And I think for a long time I really didn't pay attention to what I wanted. I knew I wanted to be healed. I knew I wanted to be in God's will, but just really being connected with, you know, what are my desires. So I'm really I really like the subject, and I always love connecting with you guys. So here I am. And I'm sorry for being late.
No, that's fine.
That's
You know,
okay.
you know what's awesome, Pat? Every time I see you, you are clearer and you're sharper and you're more radiant. Like
Thank
literally
you.
every time that I see you. And like I don't see you, you know, a lot, like we're just like on our calls. So like there's this gap of time. So I think it really makes the difference even more noticeable. So it's just really cool. So
Thanks.
encouraging.
Yeah, God is really, he's good. God's good.
Yeah.
That is so great. Thank you guys all for sharing. I think we got everybody. Did I miss anybody? Um, what about you, Dan? What's your heart on this next journey of this book? What would
Well,
you
that's what that's kind of what was my introduction was
Okay, talking about
about all
that.
that because for me, I feel like I've just arrived at my life. You know, I think, you know, when you first start following God, you know, you follow him and you don't exactly know what it's going to look like or be like. And if you hang in there long enough, you figure out that, you know, God is good, that he's really good. And and then, you know, you kind of go and keep growing and things changing and there's wounds healing and shifting and then it really kind of becomes on a whole other, like God is awesome. I mean, not a bumper sticker, but like really truly in your heart awesome. And then somewhere along the way, if you keep engaging your heart, it becomes God is only. God is only. And it's like that's it. Like if God showed up right now and said, "Okay, I gave Solomon a wish. He could ask anything he wanted, and what do you want?" And my honest answer would be like, I want to be able to love you with all of my heart, mind, soul, strength, and will. Because I I'm convinced that is the only thing that really matters. There's other things that are great and awesome and wonderful, but but those things only even matter because of God. And I can only even experience them through God, truly. So I've just sort of reached a place in my life. I don't know if it's age or experience or both or what, but it's just kind of like that's it. Like this is all there. Like God is the safest place there is, and He's the most trustworthy person there is, and it doesn't get any better. So I just, you know, I had when I was in Israel, I had these little tastes of, you know, I was there for 10 days with Vicky and Landry. And that whole trip was God saying to me, I am going to let you feel as much of my presence as you can handle. And it was overwhelming. I cried more in those 10 days than maybe I have in my entire life. And not a single tear was shed because I was sad. I was overwhelmed. I was overwhelmed. That is what I want. I want that all the time, like as much of it as I can. I want that. That's what I want.
Wow, that's really powerful, very powerful.
What
Yeah, I
about you,
think
honey?
that I remember when I first read this book, it was a long time ago. It was at over 20 years ago. And I remember because I was very confused as a young Christian. Like I felt like in order to be righteous or right, I had to just kill desire. because I was a very passionate person and I didn't know how to navigate that. I didn't know how to make that be how to make that like obedient to God per se. And I think that I remember this book had such a profound impact on me because it was the first time that I actually heard like that God gives us those desires and he wants us to live a life fully alive in him. And I wanted to read this quote out of the introduction. It says, to live life fully, that is to say, to live life as God meant for us to live, demands a full recovery of our hearts.
Mm.
And I loved that so much because I do feel like, you know, we were not designed to live in a fallen world. That's not how we were designed. We were designed for the garden. We were designed for a never-ending connection to God, to live in that. And then, you know, sin happened and we were cast out and we were cast out for our own good so that we would not die apart from God. You know, like we could not, Adam and Eve could not partake of the tree of life with that knowledge and forever be separated. So I get that. I understand that. But God does never designed us to live in this fallen state. But here we are. And it is our humanity that we're healing from. And as we put together our heart, we're going to feel him more and more. And I love, Dan, what you said at the beginning, like that reticular activating system that we have in our minds is that what we focus on, we create more of, we see more of. And so it isn't about just thinking positive, but it's about a literal transforming our thoughts, making them captive so that we focus on and we see the miracles everywhere. We see more of that and we see more connection versus abandonment or rejection or not, you know, all those things that are painful and suffering. So I'm very excited. And I would say just for these 2 weeks, we'll read the first two chapters. And then since we're not meeting Sunday, we'll read the next two chapters the following week. So when we meet again on the 8th, we will talk about whatever you guys discovered in those first 4 chapters. Whatever hit you, we have the next couple weeks to do that. And then we'll meet every Sunday. If you can't make it, that's okay. Like Dan said, this isn't a class. We won't be taking roll, but we will miss you if you're not here for sure. You will be missed. So if you didn't get the chance to read all the, don't worry about that either.
Yeah.
Because it's really just about the conversation and hearing, and you'll always have time to read. So you're welcome here no matter what, no matter what. Absolutely. And I think that's it on this from the standpoint of what we're like the kind of the setup of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we'll have this same link. I think when it went out, it showed all the dates. So this same link will be there. And I'll also have this always, it lives in our Facebook group. And because I set it up to meet all these times, it doesn't let me just grab the link. It only lets me grab the registration link. So you have to register and get that email, but you should have had an email sent to you with that. So hold on to that because we will do that. And then this will end on the 5th of January. And then we'll be moving into our new one day, like our one day workshop will be on the, no, it's not the 11th. It's January. Oh, it is. January 11th, 111. 111 will be our one day workshop. If you want to join us for that, we'll be talking about that more and more as we get closer. But this will end literally the weekend before that, which will be perfect. Perfect timing.
Yep.
Yeah. So anything else, Dan?
No, I thought it'd be cool though if we prayed out though.
I love that idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we just ask for your favor on our pursuit of you, on our pursuit of our desires. I ask that you would give us the wisdom and understanding to see our desires, to see them the way that you see them, and to embrace them, that we would embrace what you have to say and not worry about anybody else. Just focus on what you're saying and what you're speaking into our lives. And I ask for our hearts and minds and spirits to be attentive to what you say, that you would allow us to clearly hear when you're speaking to us and what you're saying to us, so that we can find alignment with it, that you will open our hearts to our desires, and that you would allow us to see all of the desires, maybe desires that we've hidden away or have been too afraid to talk about or haven't thought about or don't trust they're going to happen. Whatever our story is, Abba, we know that your story for us is best, that your story for us is leads to an amazing, incredible life of connection and intimacy with you that we can't even imagine right now. And so I just ask for each heart that's here, for Kenny, for Jana, for Vicky, for Mandy, for Deetria, for Patricia and Miriam, and for myself, that you would take each one of our hearts on this journey of desire, that you would allow our desire for you to deepen and grow wider and bigger than it's ever been. And as we do that, I ask that you would open us up to seeing the desires that you have placed there all along, that you would kind of open up our ability to see it if we haven't been, and that if we have, that you would open our heart to trust that the desire is a good thing. And so we just ask for your blessing over our time. I ask this really be a space for people to feel safe, for people to feel heard, for people to feel loved, for people to feel encouraged, for people to be able to share freely and openly, and for everybody to really come away with getting something of value for themselves. So this won't ever, ever, ever feel like, wow, that's an hour of my life I'll never get back. I really want this to be a time that encourages people and that fills people and that inspires people and leaves them feeling more and more closer to you. And I ask for all this in the name of your son, Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
So just to recap, we're doing 4 chapters, 2 weeks from now, and will it just be an hour class? An
Yeah,
hour.
we figure it'll go till 8, and then if there's a lot of talking, we could go till 8:30.
Yeah.
You know, like hour and a half. If you have to go
Okay.
at 8, like we totally get it. But if there's a lot of good conversation happening, we'll stay on till 8:30.
Yeah, we won't shut it off, but we also
Yeah.
will respect people's time. So if people are,
Yeah. So if you have to
and you
jump
can,
off,
so after
but
8 o'clock, you can hop on or off or whatever. It's fine.
And after the first chapter, I noticed they have questions. So does every chapter have some questions at the end?
I believe that they do. That's, I think,
Okay.
one of the
Yeah.
things that he added
That's one
in.
of the additions. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
So yeah, that's a great thing to even we can talk about, and we'll kind of see what happens if we have a lot of people and there's a lot, we could even break off, into rooms so that everybody has an opportunity to share. Like we'll kind of play it by ear, but that's the goal.
I have a
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
Oh, I have a question after
Sure.
Jen. I have to get the audio book because I don't have access to the the book,
Okay.
which is sad because I like the books too. But I don't know if on the audio book they have those questions. So I don't know if anyone has those questions. Maybe you can post them or you can send me a copy or a photo, whatever. I'd like to have that because sometimes they don't have these questions in the audio books. So
Yeah, that's very true, Miriam, because I know this is the updated book, and
okay.
if they didn't update the audio, then they might not have. I don't know, but yeah,
Yeah.
I can definitely get that out.
Okay, yeah.
We can do that.
If there's anything in particular that I don't know. I mean, I'll be listening to the audiobook, but I guess the questions would be the main thing,
Yes.
be synced in with everybody else.
Yeah, let me know after you listen to the first chapter or two if they don't
Okay. Yeah, I'll do
have
that.
that in there, and I'll make sure to get it over to you.
Okay, great. Oh, I noticed I didn't have well, there's not
Oh,
much.
there you are. Hi.
Okay. Yes, I have lights now. We're having some shortages there, but it's all good. So okay, great. Great. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. Thank
Hi,
you.
Miriam. I remember you from back in the day.
Hi,
Yes,
Mary. So do
yes,
I. My name's Kenny. Yes,
yes,
seeing you
Dr.
again.
guys. Yes, and Deetra too.
Yes.
Yeah, so this is really nice. Hello to everybody. This will be
You know
great.
what? I'm gonna put my my number in for anybody who, if anybody has questions or want to talk or whatever.
Awesome.
I'm gonna put my number in here.
Put it in the chat.
Okay. Well, it's good to see you guys, really. And then also, Pat, I'm so good to see you. She heard.
It's so good. Okay, I'm gonna actually stop the recording, but you guys, we can stay on and chat. Here we go. Stop.